Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you're all doing well. Today, make sure you listen to the entire video. It's almost 2 hours video. And today we are focusing on 27 love stories of different nakshatras, how the moon, your mind, witnesses love in each and every nakshatra, how they feel love, what is their love language, how do they heal in love. We are talking about that. So listen to this. Make sure you listen to this. It's very interesting. Make yourself a cup of coffee, relax, and listen to it anytime you want to. It's really going to be interesting. The love story of Ashwini Moon is the love story of speed and healing. Long before an Ashwini native understands love, they understand the motion. Their heart is born running. The initiation of love story looks like Ashwini Moon's soul does not grow into love slowly. Love finds them like a sudden knock on the door, unannounced, exciting, full of new energy. They meet someone and something inside them whispers instantly, "This feels right, let me begin." And they do begin the love story. Ashwini writes the first message, makes the first plan, shows the first spark. Their style of love is brave and youthful, even at 40, they love like they are 16. For them, love is not a feeling to analyze, it's something to be felt, it is a journey to start. How they love? Well, they love language. The Ashwini lovers show devotion through acts like they want to improve your life, they encourage your dreams, they become your personal cheerleader. When you fall sick, they arrive first. When you are sad, they try to repair it quickly. Their romance is energetic. Let's do this together. They assume that if they give enough, if they initiate enough, if they will give you enough warmth, enough support, the partner will naturally feel cherished. Now, here comes the middle part, the middle chapter of love. Here, the love faces the reality. Here, the fairy tale faces the reality. Ashwini natives often choose partners who enjoy their energy, who enjoy their enthusiasm, but they do not match it. They fall for more calm and slow souls. At first, this contrast feels attractive. One person is fire and the other person is earth. But over time, the Ashwini heart notices a painful truth. I am always the one initiating. I'm the one who always gives more. The generosity becomes routine for the partner and their speed stops looking special. What breaks them? Ashwini does not break because someone left. They break when they realize their effort was undervalued, their loyalty was taken casually, their love was used as convenience, and their emotional labor went unseen. That is the deepest wound the Ashwini went through. That is something they want to say it loud, but they may never say it. You only loved what I did for you, not who I was. Because you may, the Ashwini people, they see people with a lot of depth, but it's difficult to reach to their depth. That's the nature of Ketu. And because Ashwini is a nakshatra of quick healing, they try to recover fast too. But emotional recovery is not a race. Here comes the final chapter. The true growth of an Ashwini native begins after heartbreak. They slowly mature from inside. They learn that love is not only about doing, it is also about receiving. Their healing completes when they meet a different kind of partner, someone who is steady, expressive, appreciative, emotionally present. A love that finally tells them, slow down, you are already enough. And here comes the happy ending. When Ashwini is loved back correctly, they begin changing their lives. They become magical partners. They will become more motivating. They will become more youthful, lively, devoted, and healing. Their relationships then feel like the Ashwini mantra, revival instead of exhaustion. And finally, they understand passion is beautiful, but a heart that knows when to rest is even more powerful. Ashwini's story is ultimately not just a romance, it is a tale of a soul learning to balance love and self worth. The love story of Bharani Moon is the love story that wanted to give birth to forever. Every Bharani Moon native is born from emotional depth. Their heart does not run towards love like Ashwini. It grows it, it nurtures it, the way life grows inside a womb. The beginning of the love story. A Bharani soul meets love quietly but powerfully. They don't announce their feelings to the world, they let them take shape within. Often their story begins with strong attraction, emotional and physical at the same time. When they care for someone, they feel it in their body, in their breath, in their night and dreams. The Bharani native thinks this bond feels destined. I must protect it. From that moment, love becomes a sacred territory. How they love their love language. Bharani loves like a creator. They nurture their partner's emotions. They hold space for their fears. They invest loyalty and time. They sacrifice comfort to keep the bond alive. They are deeply sensual and devoted. For them, love means merging completely. They want to build a world around the relationship. You and me, nothing else matters. The Bharani lover gives intensely because they believe real love must be protected with endurance. And here comes the very middle chapter of love. But Bharani's tale often turns heavy because they love so deeply, they stay even where they are not happy. They believe patience can fix anything, so they choose challenging partners, emotional struggles, complicated relationships. They hold on. They carry the pressure, the responsibility of even the other person. They carry the load of the relationship, hoping their devotion will transform the other person. The Bharani heart tells itself again and again, if I love enough, this will survive. But what breaks them? Their tragedy begins when love turns into emotional bondage. Bharani suffers the most from power struggles, manipulation, being guilt tripped, feeling trapped despite loyalty, emotional domination. They break when they realized I stayed too long believing my sacrifice was love. Separation for Bharani moons feels like emotional death because they don't detach easily. Their wound is not just losing a partner, it is losing the universe they built around the partner. Now, the final chapter in love. True healing for Bharani is a rebirth. They must learn the lesson their own nakshatra represents. Creation should not destroy the creator. They recover when they finally understand boundaries are not betrayal. Leaving a toxic bond is not failure. Self respect is also a form of loyalty. Their happy ending begins only when they meet a different kind of partner, someone who can handle their intensity without turning into a cage, a love that feels safe, respectful, and equal. The healing of the relationship, how does that happen? How they heal, how they recover. When they heal, the Bharani native becomes a magnificent lover. They become deeply loyal, emotionally strong, very protective of their energy and time and their emotions. They become sensual, they become more committed, towards life. They just need a partner who says, "Your love gives me life and it does not imprison me." The true ending, the happy ending in love is finally Bharani closes its painful cycle and finds peace. Love is meant to feel like birth and growth, not like endless endurance. The love story of Krittika Moon is the love story with a flame of self respect and honor. In every sky, there is a star that burns brighter than the rest. Krittika is that star, and a Krittika Moon native carries the burning inside their heart. How is the initiation of their love story, the beginning? A Kritika's soul does not search for fantasy, they search for a person they can respect, and they do also get that equal respect. Their love story usually begins in admiration. They meet someone and quietly observe, "Are you truthful? Are you worthy? Do you stand by your word?" For Kritika, attraction alone is never enough. Love must pass through the fire of evaluation. And once it does, the Kritika native commits internally with full sincerity. Their heart declares, "I choose you, I will protect you." How is their love language? Kritika loves like a guardian of a sacred fire, a sacred place. They protect the dignity of their partner. They correct them when they go wrong. They guide with sincerity. They fight for the relationship. They value loyalty as a moral duty. Their affection can appear strict to outsiders, but it is not criticism. It is the care wearing armor. The Kritika lover believes, "If I keep you aligned to truth, our love will remain pure." They don't like emotional drama. They prefer clear skies and honest conversations. The middle chapter of the love story. Their story faces turbulence when partners misunderstand their nature. Many people feel uneasy around the Kritika style of loving. They may choose softer or more emotionally dependent partners who start fearing Kritika's straightforward nature. And slowly the native begins to feel, "Maybe I am too intense, too honest, too protective." Yet they continue loving fiercely, hoping their partner will grow into their moral code. What breaks them? What causes heartbreak? Kritika moons do not break easily, but when they do, they break suddenly. Their heartbreak triggers are severe. So, what triggers them? Deception, wandering loyalty of the partner, disrespect, lies, emotional immaturity. The Kritika heart feels betrayed most by broken integrity. For them, the tragedy is not just a breakup, it is the feeling, "I respected you, I trusted you, and you failed the fire." And so, like a star collapsing, they withdraw their warmth all at once. Cut off in relationships are common here. The final chapter, the healing chapter. True healing for Kritika begins when they learn to turn fire into warmth. They understand over time not everyone can be corrected, not every battle is worth fighting. Emotional softness is not weakness. They deserve appreciation, not fear. Their happy ending arrives when they meet a partner, finally, someone who understands their flame, their nature, someone who can receive honestly without feeling attacked, a relationship where respect flows both ways. A healed Kritika lover, when balanced, a Kritika moon native becomes the most dependable partner, truthful, protective, committed, dignified, strong in crisis. They transform from a strict guardian into a wise protector, and they realize in the last line of their tale, real love is not about burning the partner into a certain shape, it is about keeping the relationship bright with mutual honor. Kritika's emotional destiny is learning that love can be truthful and tender both. The love story of Rohini Moon is the love story written in love, fragrance, and memory. If the sky ever learned to fall in love, it would feel like Rohini. A Rohini moon native is born with a heart that believes life is meant to bloom. The very beginning of love, how it happens. Rohini does not meet love in hurry. It meets love in beauty and grace. Their love story begins in a dream-like moment. Maybe through a glance in a cafe, a soft conversation, a meeting that feels comfortable from the first minute. The Rohini soul recognizes affection early. They say, "With you, I can grow." They are drawn to people who promise a future, not just excitement. Because for Rohini, love is not only romance, love is vision of building a life together. How do they love? What is their love language? The Rohini natives love will feel like the fertile earth, the richness of earth, gentle, patient, sensual, emotional, sensual. They show love through cooking meals, remembering what you like, creating comfort, caring for the partner's moods, planning a beautiful shared future. For them, affection lives in the senses. A Rohini lover wants, or they would say, let's decorate the house, let's plan our weekends, let's build something lasting. This is their love language. They invest deeply, and once attached, they love deeply, devotedly, and consistently. Now arrives the middle chapter of the love story. But Rohini's tale has a vulnerable twist. Because they love so ideally, they often expect the same depth from the partner. They imagine that everyone values love as seriously as they do. So at first, they ignore red flags, thinking maybe my love can make the other person transform. Maybe my tenderness will transform this person. They give time, value, trust, physical and emotional closeness. The Rohini heart does not keep backups. It just puts all of its flowers in one basket. The every effort, every intention right in front of that person they love. What breaks them? So Rohini breaks the most from betrayal. The tragedies in love comes from infidelity, emotional inconsistency, lies, broken promises, being emotionally replaced. Rohini remembers everything. So when someone leaves them, they don't just miss the person, they miss the future they dreamt about, the future they planned around that person. Heartbreak for Rohini feels like this silent line: I bloomed for you and you walked past my garden. Possessiveness, jealousy can arise after pain because the fear of loss is the deepest wound. Because the loss might have already happened, but that fear of losing everything comes after that pain, losing security, losing safety in life. What is the healing part of their journey, the healing arc in love? True healing for Rohini is learning emotional reality, to see things with emotional reality. They slowly understand not everyone deserves the ideal devotion. They must protect their emotional investments. Reassurance matters in relationships. Sorry, loyalty matters more than charm. And of course, I was saying the word royal. So yeah, they love to be treated like royal. So royalty and loyalty matters more than charm. Their happy ending begins only when they choose better partners, steady, reliable souls who give them emotional safety, and then the healing relationship arrives. Rohini Moon becomes magical, lifelong partners when they are loved deeply, when they do get a healthy connection. They develop deeply affectionate bond. They become more nurturing, more loyal, sensual, and emotionally present in the connection. And Of course, they forgive easily when they feel safe again. So, a safe connection is something which is a part of their healing journey. And their final chapter in love is about real love for Rohini is simple. There is fragrance of trust, the soil of reassurance, and a partner who stays to water their garden. And the true ending is Rohini finds peace and understands love was never meant to be perfect, it was meant to be secure. The love story of Mrigashira moon is the love story of a curious heart seeking for purpose, seeking for safety and meaning through love. In a faraway meadow lived a deer who was always looking for something new. Mrigashira moon natives carry that same gentle restlessness inside them. Their curious heart is so emotional. The beginning, the initiation of their love story. A Mrigashira soul usually meets love through conversation. Their story doesn't start with dramatic passion or attraction. It begins with words, laughter, shared interests. They sit beside someone and feel intrigued. They feel something very exciting about that conversation, whatever they are talking about. The mind feels like a place that I want to explore this connection. Like the person they start liking, that person's mind, that person's intellect feels like a place they want to explore. For them, attraction is mental music. They're drawn to voices, ideas, and sparkle of intelligence. The Mrigashira natives sends thoughtful messages, playful texts, or endless questions. Love feels like discovery. How they love, their love language. Their style of loving is light and affectionate. They want to talk for hours, share songs, books, random thoughts, plan small adventures, or travel. Keep the relationship mentally alive. For Mrigashira, love means let's wander together but not lose freedom. They dislike heavy emotional scenes. Drama makes them uncomfortable. They prefer breezy, friendly affection. Now comes the middle chapter of love. But the tale faces confusion because their heart is easily fascinated. They often choose partners who feel very exciting initially, exciting mentally, exciting with respect to the thoughts they shared, but may not be stable emotionally. Restlessness can make them feel very uncertain. They may question themselves, is this really love or am I just attracted? So they delay decisions in love. They float between feelings, overthink a lot about commitment. What breaks them? Their heartbreaks usually come from the inconsistency of the partner, emotional unpredictability, lack of proper communication, feeling of being misunderstood, partners too dramatic or too suffocating in nature. The Mrigashira heart aches when the mental bond disappears. They feel hurt most by the silence of the other person or the other person trying to hurt the Mrigashira moon by a very bad or difficult language or words. When they feel the hurt, they what goes through them is what they think about their partner is you stopped talking to me and that felt like you stopped loving me. Now, what's the healing? The healing arc of their journey. True healing for the Mrigashira is learning to balance curiosity with emotional security. They will mature. They mature when they realize not every attraction deserves pursuit. They need to have stability in love, not always excitement. Emotional presence and peace matters a lot in the relationship. It should not always be something mentally stimulating. Love can arrive in peace and comfort. Their happy ending begins when they meet someone calm, grounded, yet interesting, a partner who lets them wander but gives them a safe emotional home to return to. The final chapter in love. When they are loved correctly, the Mrigashira moon native transforms beautifully. Their deer-like resistance and restlessness softens into joyful companionship. They finally understand real love is not found by endless searching, it is found when curiosity meets stability. The love story of Ardra moon is the love story of monsoon and metamorphosis. Ardra moon natives are born under the wild skies. Their hearts learn early that love is not always gentle, sometimes it arrives like thunder, the beginning of their love. And Ardra's soul rarely meets simple romance. They meet love in emotionally charged moments like during personal crisis, lonely phases, or deep conversations held late into the night. This story often starts with fascination for depth, like they will say, with you, I can finally reveal who I am, what I hide from the world. Ardhara moons are drawn to people who feel a little broken, a little complex, a little mysterious. They mistake intensity for safety. What is their love language? How do they love? The Ardhara lover loves fearlessly but vulnerably. They open their inner storms. They share secrets, tears, past wounds, attach quickly once they feel understood, want emotional fusion and loyalty. For them, love means emotional release. A relationship becomes a mirror where they can finally be seen without pretending to be strong. Now comes the middle chapter in love. But Ardhara's tale usually carries turbulence, of course, turbulence of Rahu, because they attract dramatic bonds. The relationships swing between extremes like passion, then conflict, then reconciliation, then again going back to pain. The Ardra native keeps holding the partner will calm the chaos. They will not realize that they have to choose someone who is calm. They actually choose someone who is equally chaotic, equally difficult with respect to emotions. What breaks them? Ardra moons break deeply from ghosting, emotional abandonment, harsh conflicts, trauma like separations. Their wounds linger because they associate love with emotional upheaval. Breakups feel like this inner cry, I gave you my rain and you left me flooded. How does the healing happens? What is the healing arc in their love story? Real growth for Ardhara begins when they rewrite their definition of love. They learn slowly intensity is not intimacy, chaos is not connection. They deserve peace. The healing story starts when they choose stability over the storms, protect their emotional vulnerability. The final chapter in their love story, when they are healed, an Ardhara moon native becomes so powerful, emotionally wise, deeply compassionate, strong yet peaceful. And their happy ending arrives with a calm partner who teaches them you can love deeply without drowning in that love. Ardra's true love story is not about suffering forever. It is about a soul discovering that after every monsoon, after that heavy rain, a clearer sky can be also be loved. A lot of illusions, a lot of chaos will go away once you go through that heartbreak. You will receive the clarity what true love is all about. The love story of the Punarvasu moon is the love story that believed in once more. Some hearts break and close. A Punarvasu heart breaks and still hopes. This is the story of the soul that always believed that love could return, things could get better, and a magic will happen, and the love could return. Whatever they have lost will return. The initiation, the beginning of love, how does that happen? A Punarvasu moon does not meet love with suspicion, they meet it with openness. And that is the beauty of moon over here and Jupiter. Their story often begins after something has already gone wrong in their life. After a loss, a disappointment, a phase where they had to rebuild themselves. And when love appears, the Punarvasu heart thinks gently, maybe this time it will be better. They don't rush, but they don't close either. There's a quiet optimism in them, giving a new chance to life, to people, a belief that life renews itself. How do they love? Their love language. Punarvasu loves with reassurance. They are the ones who say, it's okay, we'll figure it out. People make mistakes, no problem, let's try again. They offer emotional safety through constant forgiveness. They listen patiently. They explain instead of accusing. They choose understanding over confrontation. For them, love is continuity. Even if things fall apart, we can rebuild. Then comes the middle chapter in love. This is where the Punarvasu's tenderness becomes a test. Because they believe in second chances, they often give too many despite of the red flags. They return to situations that already showed cracks. They wait for people who promise growth, but they don't follow through. Their heart keeps saying, everyone deserves time, everyone can improve. Slowly, the hope turns into emotional labor. What breaks them? Punarvasu moons don't shatter dramatically, they fade quietly. They break from repeated disappointment, unkept promises, emotional inconsistency, being told soon instead of now. Their pain sounds like, I stayed because I believed in you, but you stayed the same. The hardest moment for Punarvasu is realizing that love alone cannot rebuild someone else. You cannot work for other person. Like you can give your entire love, but the other person needs to rebuild himself, herself again. The healing arc, how the healing happens for them. Healing begins when Punarvasu learns a painful but freeing truth. Forgiveness is not obligation. Hope must be reciprocal. Renewal requires effort from both sides. They mature into discernment. They stop confusing kindness with self-sacrifice, and they need to have that boundary which they eventually realize how much they need to keep themselves safe whenever they connect with people. The final chapter, once they are healed, Punarvasu becomes a beautiful partner, emotionally steady, communicative, gentle but wise, hopeful without being naive. Their happy ending arrives with someone who matches their optimism with action and consistent efforts, someone who proves, not promises. And the story closes with this understanding that love can begin again, but only when both hearts are rebuilding. Punarvasu's love story is not about weakness, it is about resilient hope in love and refined by wisdom. The love story of Pushya Moon is the love story of the one who held everyone together. Some hearts are not born to shine loudly, but they are born to hold the world steady and strong. A Pushya moon carries such a heart. The very initiation in the love story, how it happens. A Pushya soul does not fall in love dramatically. Their story begins with familiarity. They often meet love through responsibility, let's say at work, in family circles, during times when someone needs their support. At first, the connection feels practical, safe, almost ordinary, but slowly the Pushya realizes, I feel calm with you and I can breathe here, so you are important. For Pushya, love is not fireworks, it's something safe, secure, and reliable. How they love, their love language. Pushya moons love through care and consistent efforts. They show affection in ways that are easy to overlook sometimes and even taken for granted, but their affections, the way they show up, it is almost impossible to replace. That is how the power of love of a Pushya is. So, how do they show affection? By checking if you have eaten something today, remembering appointments, worrying about your health, planning routines, being emotionally available when you are tired or sad. They become the emotional backbone of the relationship. Their love language is responsibility. In their heart, they think, if I stay steady, you will feel safe. The middle chapter. What happens when all that love reaches to the middle chapter? Things start getting more serious. Pusha's story often turns one sided because they're so dependable partners, and that the other person tries to depend so much on them, sometimes too much emotionally. Pushya slowly becomes the caregiver instead of lover. They take on emotional burdens quietly, believing that endurance equals to devotion. The more I take pain for someone, it is the devotion. So that is the struggle. And they rarely complain. They assume love means holding on. What breaks them? Pushya moons break not from betrayal but from the emotional neglect. Their deepest wounds come from being emotionally ignored, taken for granted, appreciated only when they are useful, being the strong one in the relationship always. Their heartbreak is silent and heavy. They think, I carried you when you were weak. Why couldn't you hold me when I needed you? What is the healing phase in their life and how that happens? Pushya heals when they feel that they are important. They have their own worth. They recognize their power. They learn love must flow both ways. Support should be mutual. They are allowed to, get care from people. They are not the only the givers, but they are also getting that care from others, and they're allowed to take that care and help. And their story transforms when they meet a partner who notices their devotion. Someone who will say, okay, you take care of everyone, but who takes care of you? The final chapter in their love story. When they are loved correctly, a Pushya Moon native becomes the most grounding partner, loyal, emotionally stable, deeply nurturing, reliable through all seasons of life. They finally understand that love is not proven by how much you endure, but by how gently you are held in return. Pushya's love story is a lesson in balance between giving and receiving, strength and softness. The love story of Ashlesha Moon is the love story that lived in the mind before the heart. Some love stories are written in words. Ashlesha's love story is written in silences, glances, and what was never said aloud. The initiation, how is the beginning of the love story? An Ashlesha moon does not fall in love openly. They sense love before they name it. Or maybe sometimes it's all love deep within, but they cannot name it at all. Their story often begins with fascination, a subtle pull towards someone they cannot explain. They notice tone, pauses, emotional shifts. They feel drawn to what lies beneath the surface. Inside the Ashlesha's heart, there are these whispers. There is something about you I need to understand. Trying to solve that person like a mystery code. For them, attraction is psychological first, emotional second. How do they love? Their love language. Ashlesha loves deeply but privately. They bond through emotional intuition, intense one on one conversations, shared secrets, quiet loyalty, remembering everything you once revealed. And it's not just about the emotions, the physical intimacy is so important. They study the person they love not to control but to feel safe. Their love says, if I understand you completely, you won't abandon me. They are protective, sometimes possessive, because emotional security matters more than romance. Now comes the middle chapter in love. Ashlesha's story becomes complicated because of fear of unpredictability, fear of emotional highs and lows, fear of abandonment, fear of losing control of their inner world when they are in love. So they may test their partners, not consciously but emotionally. They observe reactions. They observe if they do something, how the person will react. They withdraw to see who follows them. Sometimes they choose emotionally unavailable partners, replaying the familiar patterns. What breaks them? Ashlesha moon breaks from emotional uncertainty. Their deepest wounds comes from lies, half-truths, mixed signals, manipulation, emotional highs and lows. Their heartbreak feels like betrayal of intuition. They think, I sensed something was wrong. Why didn't you tell me the truth? When trust breaks, the Ashlesha becomes guarded, suspicious, and emotionally closed. What is the healing arc in their life? How they heal? Healing for Ashlesha is radical honesty, first with themselves and then with others. They learn control is not safety, transparency is not threat, vulnerability does not mean weakness. They grow when they choose clarity over intensity in relationships. The final chapter in love. When they are healed, Ashlesha becomes an extraordinary partner, emotionally intelligent, deeply loyal, intuitive without manipulation, protective without control. Their happy ending arrives with someone who communicates clearly, consistently, and truthfully. Someone who proves that you don't have to read my mind, I will speak. And Ashlesha finally gets into a mode of rest when truth replaces fear. Love no longer needs armor. This is what they understand with healing. Ashlesha's love story is about transforming emotional survival into emotional safety. The love story of the Magha moon is the love story written in ancestral ink or ancestral symbols. Some hearts are not born only for themselves. A Magha moon carries the weight of lineage, honor, and memory. Their love story is never casual, it's ceremonial. It's deeply connected to their ancestors and what they carry from them. The initiation in love, the beginning of their love story. A Magha soul rarely falls in love without intention. The story often begins with recognition rather than excitement. They notice someone and think, you fit into my life, you belong here. Love for Magha is deeply connected to their identity, family, roots, legacy, and self respect. They imagine relationships as long term roles, not temporary experiences. From the beginning, they expect seriousness in the connection. How do they love? What is their love language? Magha loves with dignity and desires dignity in return. They show affection by standing by their partners publicly, offering loyalty and protection, taking responsibility, wanting to be proud of who they love, expecting respect in return. They don't beg for attention, they assume mutual honor. Inside the Magha's heart, there's always this one thing: if I choose you, I choose you fully, and I expect the same. What is the middle chapter of the love story? The Magha's story carries silent vulnerability. Because they love with pride, they hide their own emotional needs. They don't want to be vulnerable, open towards the world. They expect their devotion to be noticed without being asked for. They often choose partners who enjoy their strength but overlook their sensitivity and their emotions. Slowly, Magha begins to feel unseen. What breaks them? What causes the heartbreak? The Magha moons break not from the loud betrayal, but from the loss of respect in love. The deepest wounds comes from being taken lightly, being compared, being replaced, disloyalty, public embarrassment, and even sometimes ego clashes. Their heartbreak sounds like this line: I stood tall for you, why did you make me bow? When hurt, Magha withdraws into silence, carrying pain with dignity. They do carry their pain with dignity, but there's a lot of withdrawal which comes with the heartbreak. What is the healing method or healing arc in their journey? Healing for Magha begins when they allow vulnerability to coexist with pride. They learn asking for emotional acknowledgement is not weakness. Respect must be mutual. Love does not require self erasure. They grow when they choose partners who honor them emotionally and publicly. The final chapter in love. When healed, a Magha moon becomes a magnificent partner who is loyal, stable, honorable, emotionally present beneath the strength. Their happy ending arrives when with someone who says not once but consistently, I respect you, I choose you, I am proud of us. And Magha finally understands that the true royalty in love is not power, it is being cherished without losing the dignity. Magha's love story is about balancing pride and tenderness, legacy and intimacy. The love story of Purva Phalguni moon is the love story that wanted to stay in spring forever, a spring season which should never end. Some hearts are born to celebrate love. The Purva Phalguni is that heart which wants to celebrate it forever, which is soft, radiant, hungry for the warmth. Their love story begins where pleasure meets presence. The initiation, how the love story initiates. A Purva Phalguni moon meets love like a festival opening at dusk. The story often starts with attraction, easy smiles, shared laughter, unspoken chemistry that feels natural and alive. They don't need effort to connect, connection finds them. Inside their heart, there's always this whisper when they are in love or they're attracted to someone. This feels good. I feel wanted here. They're drawn to affection, beauty, touch, appreciation. Love to them is happiness, pleasure, comfort, joy, not something heavy. How do they love? They love language. Purva Phalguni loves generously and openly, with a lot of confidence. They express affection through warmth and closeness, compliments and praise, physical intimacy, shared pleasures like food, music, art, maybe probably resting, spending time together, making their partner feel desired, wanted. The love says, be with me, enjoy the life with me. They believe romance keeps relationships alive. They give attention easily and expect it naturally in return. And then comes the middle chapter of love. Purva Phalguni's story struggles when love asks for structure. Responsibility feels like winter approaching spring. They fear that commitment will dull the sparkle, the routine will replace romance. So they may delay decisions, avoid difficult conversations, or choose partners who remain emotionally light. Their heart tells itself, let's not ruin something beautiful by making it serious. Yet underneath the joy, a quiet fear grows. What if pleasure alone is not enough to last? Or it could be the other way, that in that all that joy and happiness and comfort, sometimes it's difficult to find the other person who takes them seriously. Someone who is here just for romance, someone who is here just for the fun and not taking them seriously. And also, they have this tendency of struggling with the structure in love. They feel that they will lose this beauty, this happiness they have once the relationship gets a structure. What breaks them? The Purva Phalguni moon breaks from emotional imbalance when they feel unappreciated. Their deepest wound is when partners who enjoy their affection don't invest emotionally, being chosen for charm, not depth, love that fades once novelty fades. The heartbreak feels like this: I made love feel alive, but why did you stop showing up? They suffer when romance is taken for granted. The healing phase, the healing arc in love is: healing begins when Purva Phalguni realizes pleasure and commitment can coexist. Joy does not disappear with responsibility. Real intimacy deepens attraction, not destroys it. They grow when they stop avoiding seriousness and they start choosing emotionally available partners. The final chapter in the love story of Purva Phalguni moon is: when they heal, they become a luminous partner, affectionate, playful, emotionally present, deeply romantic, capable of lasting intimacy. Their happy ending arrives with someone who enjoys pleasure but also shows up in a very consistent manner. The story closes with this truth: love does not lose its magic when it becomes real, it becomes warmer. The love story of Uttara Phalguni moon is the love story that wanted to build something real. Some hearts fall in love for the moment. Uttara Phalguni falls in love for the future. This story is not about sparks, it's about staying. The very beginning of the love story is: Uttara Phalguni moon does not enter love accidentally. The story often begins slowly, thoughtfully, sometimes even practically. They observe before they invest. And they watch how a person handles responsibility, conflict, and commitment. Inside, they ask, can we build a life together? Romance matters to them, but reliability matters more. They're drawn to people who feel dependable, mature, and capable of partnership. How is their love language? Uttara Phalguni loves through consistency. They show affection by showing up every day, keeping promises, planning long term goals, taking shared responsibility, being emotionally steady. Their love language is partnership. They think if we choose each other, we must protect what we build. They are the ones who think about finances, routines, family dynamics, and future stability, often quietly, without applause. The middle chapter in love. This is where their story becomes unbalanced. Because Uttara Phalguni is reliable, they often attract partners who are less reliable than them. They become the adult in the relationship, the planner, the stabilizer. Over time, love starts feeling like a duty instead of companionship. Inside a quiet resentment will grow. Why am I carrying this alone? Yet they stay because commitment matters to them deeply. What breaks them? Uttara Phalguni moon breaks from inequality in the relationship, and their wounds do come from one sided effort. partners who rely but do not contribute, emotional immaturity, promises without action. Their heartbreak sounds like I was building a future and you were just doing a time pass. They don't explode in anger, but they withdraw slowly, painfully, with dignity. The healing phase of their life and their love story. Healing begins when Uttara Phalguni learns love is not responsibility alone. Partnership must be mutual. Reliability deserves reciprocity. They grow when they stop over functioning and allow others to meet them halfway. The final chapter in love. The very final and healed chapter in love is Uttara Phalguni moon. When they heal, they become the strongest partners in love. Loyal, dependable, emotionally mature, deeply committed, steady through change. Their happy ending arises when someone who shares the load with them. Emotionally and practically, someone is there to work along with them. And their story closes with knowing this truth: love is not proven how much you carry. It's not proven by how much responsibilities you will carry for the other person. But love is proven when you evenly carry the weight of the relationship. You share everything in that connection. Uttara Phalguni's love story is about learning the stability is most beautiful when it is mutual in the connection. The love story of the Hasta moon is the love story written in small gestures and actions. Some hearts speak loudly. A Hasta heart speaks with its hands, its gestures, and actions. The love story is not announced, it is demonstrated. The initiation of their love story. Hasta moon does not fall in love through grand declarations. Their story begins quietly, almost practically. They notice someone's needs before feelings are named. They step in to help before being asked. Inside their heart thinks, I can make your life easier. Love for Hasta begins with usefulness, not because they lack emotion, but because care feels safe and warm, and their care is expressed through action. How do they love? Their love language is all they can do for someone. Hasta loves by doing. They show affection through fixing what's broken, organizing chaos, helping with work, remembering details, anticipating needs, being emotionally available in practical ways. They are attentive, observant, and present. The love says that you don't have to struggle alone. I am here. They feel fulfilled when they are needed, when their efforts improve the partner's daily life. What is the middle chapter of this love story? But this is where the Hasta's story quietly grows heavy. Because they give so naturally, their effort becomes invisible. Partners start expecting help without acknowledging it. Love turns into convenience. Hasta rarely complains. They assume love will be felt even if not spoken. Inside, a silent question grows. Do you see me? Or only what I do for you? What breaks them? Hasta moon breaks from being unseen. The deepest wounds come from lack of appreciation, emotional neglect, being valued only for their usefulness, never being asked, are you okay? Their heartbreak sounds gentle but devastating, as if they are saying, if I stop helping, will you still love me? They feel foolish for having given so much without even asking for anything in return. The emotional healing. Well, healing for Hasta begins with a brave internal shift. They learn. They learn love is not earned through service. Appreciation must be spoken. They are worthy even when they are doing nothing for the other person. They grow when they allow themselves to rest and let other people step up and work for the relationship. The final chapter, the healed chapter. So, when healed, a Hasta moon becomes a deeply balanced partner. They care without erasing themselves, helping without resentment, emotionally present and quite devoted to the relationship. Their happy ending arrives with someone who notices their effort and their heart, don't uses them for their usefulness or what they can do for others. Someone who will always say to them, "Thank you for everything, but also let me take good care of you." And Hasta finally understands that love is not proven by how much you do, but how deeply you are valued, how you are respected in a relationship. That is what true love is all about. So Hasta's love story teaches that devotion deserve recognition, not invisibility. The love story of Chitra Moon is the love story painted in fire and mirrors. Some hearts are born to reflect. A Chitra heart is born to create. The love story does not unfold quietly, it reshapes the identity. The initiation of the love story. A Chitra moon does not drift into love, they are pulled into love. This story often begins with fascination, a powerful attraction to someone, striking, confident, creative, even commanding in nature. They look at the person and feel, "You awaken something in me." For Chitra, love is not comfort at first, it's intensity. They're drawn to people who feel larger than life and to relationships that promise transformation. What is their love language? How do they love? Chitra loves with passion and pride. They express affection through admiration, devotion to the partner's image, deep emotional and physical attraction, wanting to build a powerful union, taking pride in the relationship. The love says, "Look at us, look at what we create together." They want to be chosen, admired, and mirrored back. Now comes the middle chapter in love. When the initial attraction fades, what happens next? Chitra's story often turns into a battle of reflections. Because they love intensity, they attract equally strong egoistic partners. The power struggles emerge in the connection. Jealousy, comparison, and control quietly enters the bond. Both partners wants to be seen and neither wants to disappear. Inside Chitra, there's this mindset or the Chitra minds wonder something. Do you love me or the version of me that makes you feel powerful? What breaks them? Chitra moons break from the loss of identity. The deepest wounds comes from control, competition, being diminished, being admired but not understood, love that feels performative and not intimate. The heartbreak feels like, "I built myself around you and now I don't recognize who I am." Breakup kind of shakes Chitra deeply because love was tied to their self image. That's why I said initially it's a love story of fire and mirrors. What is the healing phase, the healing arc of their journey, of their love story? Healing for Chitra begins when they reclaim their individuality. They learn love should enhance identity, not consume it. Admiration must be mutual. Equality creates stability. They grow when they stop seeking reflection and start choosing resonance. The final chapter. When they are healed, their heart heals, a Chitra moon becomes a very radiant partner, passionate, emotionally aware, confident without domination, deeply expressive, inspiring rather than controlling. The happy ending arrives when someone is there who stands beside them, not above or below them. Someone who will say, I see you not as an image, but as a soul. And Chitra finally understands the most beautiful love is one where both people remain whole. Chitra's love story is about turning intensity into balance and ego into equality. The love story of the Swati moon is the love story that needed air to breathe. Some hearts are born holding roots. A Swati heart is born with wings. Their love story is not about possession, it's about freedom. The beginning of their love story. A Swati moon does not fall in love suddenly, they drift into it. Their story often begins as friendship, easy conversations, shared laughter, long talks that don't feel heavy. They feel drawn to people who are intelligent, open minded, emotionally non invasive. Inside their hearts, they think, with you, I can still be myself. For Swati, attraction begins where there is space, where they get freedom to express themselves. How do they love? What is their love language? Swati loves lightly but not in a shallow manner. They express affection through honest conversations, shared ideas and dreams, encouragement of independence and space in the connection, respecting boundaries and emotional fairness. The love says, walk beside me, not ahead of me, not behind me. They don't like emotional pressure. They don't like control disguised as care. They believe love should feel like wind, present, refreshing, and free. Now comes the middle chapter in their love story, when the initial attraction fades. In the Swati moon's story, when they reach to the middle chapter, they face confusion when the attachment deepens in the relationship. As emotions grow, partners often want more closeness, more reassurance, and more dependence. Swati Moon begins to feel trapped when that happens, not because they don't care, but because they fear losing their freedom and identity. They withdraw slightly, seeking air, seeking the need to breathe. Inside, they wonder, why does love start feeling like a demand? The push and pull creates misunderstanding. Partners accuse Swati Moon of detachment while Swati feels emotionally crowded. What breaks them? Swati moons break from emotional suffocation. Their deepest wounds come from possessiveness, constant emotional demands, guilt based attachment, loss of independence, being asked to choose love over themselves. Their heartbreak sounds like, I loved you, but I couldn't breathe. They leave not because love ended, but because freedom disappeared. What is the healing phase of the Swati moons, the healing arc? Healing for Swati moon begins when they learn balance. They realize intimacy does not require self erasure. Freedom and commitment can coexist. Running away is not the same as choosing space. They grow when they learn to stay present without feeling trapped. The final chapter in love. When healed, a Swati moon becomes a beautiful partner, communicative, emotionally intelligent, loyal without control, free yet connected. The happy ending arrives with someone who trusts without holding tight, someone who says, be yourself, I'm not going anywhere. And Swati finally understands love that allows freedom is the only love that lasts forever. Swati's love story teaches that connection deepens when no one is caged. The love story of Vishakha moon is the love story driven by desire, and direction. Some hearts want peace, a Vishakha heart wants fulfillment. Their love story is not passive, it is hungry for meaning and loyalty. The very initiation of their love story. A Vishakha moon does not stumble into love, they aim for it. Their story often begins in environments of ambition, workplaces, studies, shared goals, social progress, or community. They are attracted to people who feel driven, capable, and purposeful. Inside their heart thinks, together we could become more. Love for Vishakha is intertwined with growth, success, and achievement. How do they love? What is their love language? Vishakha loves intensely and deliberately. They express affection through strong pursuit, emotional investment, making the other person happy, wanting to build a powerful future together, expecting commitment and loyalty, deep physical and emotional desire. Their love will always say, choose me and let us move forward. They do not love halfway, they commit with focus. Then comes the middle chapter in the love story. The Vishakha's story often becomes heavy with expectations because they love with such intensity they expect equal devotion and loyalty from the other person. When the partners hesitate, slow down, or appear uncertain, Vishakha becomes anxious. They overthink, they push, they want reassurance. Inside their mind, one thing constantly circles like a loop. Why are we not progressing? Love begins to feel like a race rather than a bond. What breaks them? Vishakha moon breaks from the unfulfilled desire. The deepest wound come from emotional inconsistency, partners who lack direction and loyalty, delayed commitment, mixed signals, feeling chosen but lost. Their heartbreak sounds like this: I gave you my fire, why did you keep standing still? Frustration turns into emotional exhaustion. Then comes the healing phase of the relationship. I mean, the bond with their own self, how they heal, and then how they prepare for a new connection. Healing for Vishakha begins when they learn to soften. They realize love does not follow timelines, pressure kills intimacy, desire must be balanced with patience. They grow when they stop chasing outcomes and start experiencing presence. Then comes the final chapter in love. When healed, a Vishakha moon becomes a powerful partner, passionate without obsession, committed without pressure, emotionally steady, deeply loyal. Their happy ending arrives with someone who shares the loyalty, direction in the relationship, but also knows when to pause. Someone who says we are moving forward together at our own pace. And Vishakha moon finally understands fulfillment in love comes not from pushing ahead but from walking side by side. Vishakha's love story is about transforming desire into devotion and ambition into shared growth. The love story of Anuradha Moon is the love story that chooses loyalty over loudness. Some hearts want passion, and Anuradha heart wants companionship. Their love story is not about fireworks, it's about staying through the dark. The beginning of the love story. And Anuradha Moon does not fall in love instantly. Their story begins slowly, often through friendship. They meet someone and feel the trust, comfort, and familiarity. That is the first step. Love grows quietly like a lamp lit at the dusk. Inside their heart, There's this whisper, with you, I don't have to pretend. They are drawn to people who feel emotionally sincere, grounded, and steady. For Anuradha, love must feel safe before it feels intense. How they love, what is their love language? Anuradha loves with unwavering loyalty. They express affection through emotional presence, consistency, patience, standing by the partner during difficult phases, deep listening and understanding. The love says, I am here even when it is hard. They believe relationships are built through time, trust, and shared struggles. Once committed, they rarely give up. Then comes the middle chapter in their love story. Anuradha's story often carries quite sorrow. Because they are so loyal, they attract partners who lean on them emotionally but do not always give back. They stay when others leave, they forgive when others wouldn't. Inside, they hope if I stay long enough, they will choose me fully. But sometimes devotion is met with emotional absence. What breaks them? Anuradha moons break from emotional abandonment, not drama. Their deepest wounds come from being taken for granted, partners who withdraw emotionally, unreciprocated loyalty, feeling alone inside a relationship. Their heartbreak sounds like a whisper, I stayed, why did you leave me emotionally? They don't create chaos, they retreat inward, carrying grief quietly. And then comes the healing phase of themselves, of their life. Healing for Anuradha begins when they realize loyalty must be mutual. Staying is meaningful only when chosen by both. Love should feel like companionship, not endurance, not sacrificing yourself for anyone. They grow when they stop providing devotion and start expecting it. The final chapter of their love story. When healed, an Anuradha moon becomes a rare and precious partner, deeply loyal, emotionally mature, spiritually connected, patient without destroying themselves in the connection, quietly powerful in love. Their happy ending arrives with someone who chooses them every day, not just when it is convenient. Someone who says, I don't just need you, I choose you. And Anuradha finally understands true love not is true love is not about how long you wait, but also about walking together without doubt. Anuradha's love story is about transforming silent loyalty into shared commitment. The love story of Jyeshtha Moon is the love story of power that learned to soften. Some hearts are crowned early. A Jyeshtha heart learns strength, power, before tenderness. The love story is written by survival and written by trust as well, but the survival comes first and the trust comes later. The very beginning of the love story. A Jyeshtha moon does not enter love innocently. The story often begins after life has already hardened them. They have learned to be self reliant, alert, and emotionally guarded. They don't rush into relationships, they test the waters quietly. Inside their heart, there's this whisper, I cannot afford to be weak. They're drawn to partners who appear strong, confident, capable, financially secure, someone who can stand their ground. Love to Jyeshtha is not that lovey dovey romance at first, it is security. How they love, their love language. When Jyeshtha loves, they love very fiercely, but from behind a certain armor or from a distance. They show affection through protection, taking control in crisis, standing up for their partner, loyalty under pressure, emotional vigilance. The love says, nothing will harm you while I'm here. But they rarely show vulnerability easily, softness feels risky. Then comes the middle chapter in love. This is where the Jyeshtha moon's story becomes complex because they lead with strength. Partners may assume they don't care or they don't need care. Like they show themselves they're so strong that they don't need the care, and sometimes they're so emotionally distant that it looks like they truly don't care. They attract people who admire their power but fear intimacy. Jyeshtha begins to carry the emotional weight alone. Inside, a silent conflict is there. If I lower my guard, will you hurt me? So they remain watchful, they love deeply but carefully. What breaks them? Jyeshtha moon breaks from the betrayal of trust. Their deepest wounds come from infidelity, emotional dishonesty, disrespect, broken loyalty, power misuse in the relationship. Their heartbreak is not loud, it is controlled, internal, and devastating. It sounds like, I protected you, why did you become the threat to me? After betrayal, Jyeshtha becomes colder, not cruel, but unreachable. The healing phase of their life. Healing for Jyeshtha is the hardest lesson of all, learning to soften without losing power. They must realize vulnerability is not weakness, control does not guarantee safety, love requires trust, not surveillance. Their growth comes slowly through self awareness and emotional courage. Final chapter in their love story. When healed, a Jyeshtha moon becomes very devoted partner, deeply loyal, emotionally aware, protective without the need of dominating anyone, strong yet tender, trustworthy, and trusting other people as well. The happy ending arrives with someone patient enough to earn their trust, someone who says, not once, but consistently, you don't have to guard yourself with me. And Jyeshtha finally understands real power in love is the courage to be soft. Jyeshtha's love story is not about control, it is about learning to trust life after surviving it. The love story of the Mula moon is the love story that had to destroy before it could reveal the truth. Some love stories are meant for comfort. A Mula moon love story is meant to awaken and destroy everything which is not true. It does not arrive to stay the same, it arrives to uproot. The very beginning of their love story. A Mula moon does not meet love lightly. Their story often begins with fate like intensity. This is destined. This is fated. This is so intense. The connection feels immediate, magnetic, unavoidable. They meet someone and feel this will change my life. And it does. Mula natives are drawn to people who feel powerful, mysterious, emotionally intense, or spiritually significant. There is often a sense of destiny, like past life, familiarity, unfinished karma. Love for Mula is never casual, it's transformative from the very first moment. How do they love? What is their love language? Mula loves with total honesty, even when it hurts, full honesty. They give emotional depth, raw truth, loyalty that goes to the root, willingness to face darkness, challenges together, courage to dismantle illusions. The love says, let us strip everything false and see what remains. They do not tolerate superficial bonds. They want truth, even if truth destroys their comfort. The middle chapter in their love story, what happens when the initial intensity fades away in the relationship. This is where the Mula story turns painful because they seek truth. They often enter relationships built on illusion. Partners hiding a part of themselves, hiding the truth, relationships standing on shaky foundations. Mula begins to sense certain cracks early. They question, they dig, they confront. If they don't get answers, they create answers. They want information. And as the truth surfaces, the relationship destabilizes. What once felt distant begins to feel heavy, chaotic, and painful. Inside the Mula heart, there's a realization this love was never meant to last as it was. What breaks them? Mula moons break through loss and the not just the loss of the connection, but also the shattering of the illusions. The deepest wounds comes from sudden endings, betrayal, exposure of lies, emotional and physical separation, loss of meaning. Their heartbreak feels like an earthquake, not just losing a partner, but losing identity, dreams, direction, belief. It sounds like everything I believed, everything I thought is my truth, it all collapsed. This phase can feel dark and isolating. Then comes the healing phase, the healing arc of their journey. Healing for Mula is rebirth, not repair. They must understand the core lesson of their moon. Love was not meant to save the relationship, it was meant to save them. Destruction was a doorway, not a permanent punishment. They grow by letting go of attachment to what died and honoring what was revealed. Spiritual insight often follows emotional devastation. And then comes the final chapter in their love story. When healed, a Mula moon becomes profoundly wise in love. Very wise. They don't fall for intensity. They become fearless in truth, detached from illusion, deeply spiritual, loyal to authenticity. And they're not very afraid of the sudden endings in life. Their happy ending is quieter, deeper, and more real. They finally choose partners who stand on truth, not on fantasy. And the story closes with this understanding. Some loves come to stay, some come to break us open, and both are sacred. Mula's love story is not tragic, it is initiation, the kind that ends one version of the soul and begins another. The love story of Purva Ashada moon is the love story fueled by belief and inner fire. Some hearts want certainty, a Purva Ashada heart wants to believe. Their love story is built on conviction and tested by pride. The very initiation of their love story, how does that happen? A Purva Ashar moon does not fall in love quietly. The story often begins with strong attraction mixed with ideals. They meet someone and feel this could be my person, this could be worth fighting for. There is confidence in the very beginning, a sense that love must be chosen boldly. They are drawn to partners who appear confident, expressive, emotionally strong, and aligned in a certain ideology, the ideology they believe in. Love for Purva Ashar must feel worthy. What is their love language? Purva Ashar loves with passion and principle. They give emotional presence in the connection, loyalty when committed, encouragement, belief in the partner, willingness to stand their ground. Their love says, I stand with you. Don't make me doubt that choice. They do not love timidly, they invest their pride in the relationship. Then comes the middle chapter when all the attraction fades away, the initial attraction fades away. This is where the Purva Ashar moon story becomes conflicted because they love with conviction, and any kind of disagreement feels like betrayal in the connection. So ego begins to sneak in the relationship, not arrogance, but wounded pride, where something they believe in is not approved by their partner. Arguments will become like battle of the belief system. Both partners want to be right, both want to be respected. Inside the Purva Ashar heart, there is a fear. If I bend, will I lose myself? So they hold their position, sometimes too firmly, sometimes like going to a battle. What breaks them? Purva Ashar moon breaks from ego wounds and loss of faith. The deepest pain comes from feeling disrespected, partners who undermine their belief system, repeated arguments without resolution, emotional invalidation, pride being wounded. Their heartbreak sounds like, I believed in us. Why did you make me feel so foolish for it? And then all the illusions will start uh, dissolving in their life. The loss of illusions, how the illusions break, will hurt them a lot. Then comes the healing phase of their love story. Healing for Purva Ashar moon is learning emotional humility. They realize compromise is not defeat. Listening does not erase any kind of their self respect. Love thrives in mutual respect. They grow when they allow softness to coexist with strength. Of course, there's a fear of losing themselves in the connection. If something goes wrong, it looks like a defeat. But what they truly need to learn is to soften in the connection and still not losing themselves. Then comes the final chapter in the love, that is when a healed Purva Ashar moon becomes deeply inspiring partner, passionate but flexible, confident without domination, emotionally expressive, loyal without any kind of ego or rigid nature. Their happy ending arrives with someone who respects their beliefs while allowing space for the better communication. Someone who says we can stand strong together. The Purva Ashar moon finally understands love is not won by force of belief but shared faith. Purva Ashar's love story is about turning pride into purpose and conviction into connection. The love story of Uttara Ashar moon is the love story that chose to stay standing tall. Some hearts burn fast, and Uttara Ashar heart stands tall through time. The love story is not loud, it's victorious through endurance. The very beginning of the love story. An Uttara Ashar moon does not rush into love. The story often begins after observation, sometimes after hesitation. They watch how a person behaves under pressure, responsibility, and time. Inside their heart, they ask this question: will you stand when things are difficult? They're drawn to partners who appear dependable, mature, and purposeful. Love for Uttara Ashar moon must feel worthy of commitment. They don't want fleeting romance. They want something that can last decades. How they love and what is their love language? Uttara Ashar moon loves with uh, dedication. They show affection through being reliable, keeping promises, long term planning. They kind of take care of the emotions of the other person, taking responsibility during hard phases of life. The love says, I am here, I will not leave, even when it is inconvenient. They may not be overly expressive, but they are deeply committed. For them, love is proven through consistency, not words. Then comes the middle chapter of their love story. This is where the Uttara Ashada's love story quietly strains. Because they're so strong, partners often assume they don't need emotional reassurance. They become the pillar, the one who holds everything together during crisis. Slowly, they begin to feel alone inside the relationship. Inside, there's a question: who holds me when I get tired? They rarely ask for help. Pride and responsibility keeps them standing, sometimes too long. What breaks them? Uttara Ashada moon breaks from emotional loneliness, not chaos. Their deepest wounds comes from being emotionally unsupported, carrying responsibility all alone, partners who rely but don't reciprocate, being strong without being seen. Their heartbreak is silent and heavy, as if they're saying, I stood for us, why did I have to stand alone? They don't dramatize the pain, they kind of internalize the pain and whatever they felt throughout that time. Then comes the healing phase of their love story. Healing for Uttara Ashar begins with allowing softness. They learn strength does not mean self sacrifice, asking for support is not failure, endurance without warmth becomes isolation, which means you're constantly trying to take responsibility of everything in the relationship without asking for anything in return. It's like self isolating. They grow when they choose partners who can share the weight, not admire it from the far. The final chapter of their love story. When healed, an Uttara Ashad moon becomes powerful and loving partner, dependable, emotionally strong, quietly romantic, deeply loyal, strong without ego. The happy ending arrives with someone who stands beside them, not behind them. Someone who says, you don't have to carry everything alone anymore. And Uttara Ashad moon finally understands victory in love is not standing the longest, but standing together. Their love story is about transforming endurance into shared strength. The love story of Shravana moon is the love story that needed to be heard. Some hearts want to be held, a Shravana heart wants to be understood. The love story is written in listening. The very beginning of the love story. A Shravana moon does not fall in love through appearance alone. Their story begins through conversation. They meet someone and feel drawn to the sound of their voice, the way they explain things, the ideas they carry. Inside their heart, there's this feeling: I want to hear you, I want you to hear me. For Shravana, love begins when communication flows easily, when silence feels safe, not empty. They're attracted to people who can talk, teach, share, and exchange thoughts. How do they love? What is their love language? Shravana loves through attention and presence. They show affection by listening deeply, remembering what you said months ago, weeks ago, offering advice when asked, explaining emotions calmly, try to understand before reacting. Their love says, your inner world matters to me. They are patient people. They have a very patient way of communicating. They believe most problems can be solved through dialogue. To them, love is built through understanding. Then comes the middle chapter, when the initial attraction fades. The Shravana story begins to ache when the communication breaks. They often choose partners who do not express themselves clearly or who avoid emotional conversations. Shravana tries harder, they explain more, they listen longer, they give benefit of doubt. Inside they hope, if I understand you enough, we'll be okay. But sometimes listening turns into emotional exhaustion. What breaks them? Shravana moon breaks from the silence of the other person. Their deepest wounds come from being ignored, conversations shut down, emotionally stonewalling, which means someone who is not opening up to their emotions, not ready to connect with them, kind of ignoring their emotions, feeling unheard or dismissed, lack of clarity. Their heartbreak sounds like, I spoke gently, why didn't you listen? They feel lonely even when not alone. And what is the healing phase of their connection, or the connection with themselves, and healing phase of their love story? Healing for Shravana begins when they learn listening cannot replace mutual communication and efforts. Understanding others should not cost their self expression and their mental peace. Clarity must flow both ways. They grow when they stop over explaining and start expecting the reciprocation. The final chapter in the love story. When healed, a Shravana moon becomes a beautiful partner, emotionally articulate, deeply understanding, calm in conflict, present and attentive, wise in love. Their happy ending arrives with someone who listens as deeply as they do, someone who says, I hear you and I care. And Shravana moon finally understands love grows strongest when both voices are heard. Shravana's love story is about turning listening into mutual understanding, not quite, destruction of self. The love story of Dhanishta moon is the love story that spoke through action, spoke through music. Some hearts speak through words, a Dhanishta heart speaks through movement. Their love story is full of rhythm, felt more than said. The beginning of the love story. A Dhanishta moon does not fall in love through emotional confession. The story begins with something they share with the other person, a shared activity. They meet someone while working, creating, building, traveling, or moving towards a goal. There is momentum from the start itself. Inside their heart feels, with you, life moves forward. They are drawn to people who are energetic, capable, ambitious, or emotionally strong. For Dhanishta, attraction comes from the vitality, how they feel alive in love. Love must make them feel alive and happy. How do they love, and what is their love language? Dhanishta loves through doing. The expression of love and affection is showing up consistently, helping practically, sharing resources, including the partner in their own world, whether it's their work or their private life. They want the partner to be felt included, building something together, protecting through action. The love says, I'm here, I'm contributing, I am committed. They may not say, I love you often, but they prove it daily. They value teamwork over emotional drama. Then comes the middle chapter when all of the initial attraction fades, when the reality kicks in. Now, at this time, Dhanishta feels very misunderstood because they lead with action. Partners may feel sometimes emotionally neglected. Dhanishta assumes effort is enough. They believe presence equals to love. Inside, they think, can't you see everything I'm doing for us? Meanwhile, the partners may quietly crave emotional reassurance. This mismatch creates distance, not from lack of love, but from different languages of affection. Dhanishta kind of works a lot, gives a lot, but sometimes there's emotional mismatch in their connection. And then what breaks them? The emotional disconnection, not the conflict. The deepest wounds come from being accused of emotional coldness or being too busy with their life and their work, and they have no time for love, feeling unappreciated for their effort, partners who dismiss their contributions, lack of recognition, emotional withdrawal after giving so much. The heartbreak sounds like, I built with you, why do you say I wasn't there? They feel confused and wounded when their effort is not acknowledged as love. The healing phase of their love story. Healing for Dhanishta begins when they learn emotional expression. They realize love needs words as well as actions. Reassurance matters. Vulnerability strengthens the bonds. Emotions don't weaken momentum. They grow when they allow themselves to slow down and connect emotionally. There's always a fear of opening up emotionally, and slowly they learn to trust and open up emotionally. The final chapter in their love story, when healed, Dhanishta moon becomes a powerful and balanced partner, dependable, emotionally present, generous, motivating, deeply loyal. The happy ending arrives with someone who values their effort and invites their heart forward. Someone who says, I see everything you do and I feel loved. And Dhanishta finally understands love is not only built by action, it is sustained by emotional presence. Dhanishta's love story is about learning that intimacy deepens when effort meets expression. The love story of Shatabhisha moon is the love story that needed space to heal. Some hearts learn love through closeness. A Shatabhisha heart learns love through distance. Their story is not about absence, it is about protection. The very beginning, the very initiation of the love story, what happens? A Shatabhisha moon does not rush towards love. This story often begins after all the illusions shatter in their life, after they have seen a lot of chaos, betrayal, emotional, overwhelming situations in their life, and difficult relationships. They meet someone and feel cautious rather than feeling excited about the person. Inside their heart, there's a thinking, I need to know if you will disturb my peace. They're drawn to intelligent, unconventional, emotionally self sufficient people. For Shatabhisha, attraction begins with respect for boundaries. How do they love and what is their love language? They express affection through giving space. Shatabhisha moon loves quietly and selectively. So they express affection through giving space, respecting individuality, honest but minimal emotional expression, protecting their inner world, offering support without intrusion. The love says, I won't invade you. And I ask the same. They value privacy deeply. They need time alone to process emotions before sharing them. The middle chapter. In the middle chapter of the love story, Shatabhisha's love story often feels lonely inside relationships because they don't express emotions easily. Partners may feel the shutout. Shatabhisha assumes love does not require constant reassurance. Inside, they think, I'm here, isn't that enough? But emotional distance grows not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to invite someone into their inner world safely. What breaks them? Shatabhisha wounds break from emotional intrusion. The deepest wounds come from partners who push for closeness, emotional overwhelm, loss of privacy, chaotic emotional demands, being forced to open before they are ready. Their heartbreak sounds like, I needed space to heal. Why did you take that action as rejection? The withdrawal, they actually withdraw not to punish but to survive in the connection. What is the healing phase of their love story? Healing for Shatabhisha begins with integration. They learn boundaries don't require walls. Vulnerability can be gradual. Intimacy does not erase their independence or their identity. Sharing doesn't mean losing control. They grow when they allow emotional connection at their own pace and communicate that pace clearly. The final chapter in their love story. When healed, Shatabhisha Moon becomes a deeply wise partner, respectful, emotionally aware, honest without drama, loyal in quiet ways, and safe to love. Their happy ending arrives with someone enough to wait and secure enough not to push. Someone who says, "Take your time, I'm I'm not here to invade your life. I'm only here to walk beside you." And Shatabhisha finally understands love does not need to be loud, it needs to be real. Shatabhisha's love story is about transforming solitude into conscious connection. The love story of Purva Bhadrapada moon is the love story that burned away the old self. Some hearts want comfort, a Purva Bhadrapada heart wants truth, even if it costs everything. The love story is not gentle, it's transformative. The very beginning of the love story. A Purva Bhadrapada moon does not fall in love casually. Their story is often about the existential crisis. The story often begins during this existential phase or crisis, a time when they are questioning life, purpose, beliefs, or identity. They meet someone and feel an unsettling pull. You see parts of me no one else touches. There is intensity from the start. The conversations go deep quickly into philosophy, into fears, into meaning, into darkness, and the very soul talk. For Purva Bhadrapada, love is not escape, it is confrontation. How they love, what is their love language? Purva Bhadrapada loves extremely. They give emotional depth without filters, loyalty that borders on obsession, willingness to sacrifice identity, intense physical and emotional bonding, devotion to the bond's meaning. The love says, "I will stand with you even in fire." They don't want shallow happiness, they want truthful union, even if it hurts. Then comes the middle chapter when all the attraction fades away and things get serious. There is uh, there's this time when there is a lot of confrontation. That is the middle chapter. So this is where their story becomes heavy because they love so intensely, relationships become all consuming. They may lose themselves in the bond. Their identity fuses with the relationship's meaning. Power struggles emerge not for control but for the moral and the emotional dominance. Inside Purva Bhadrapada's heart, there is this feeling and a fear, if this ends, who will I be? Love begins to feel like survival. What breaks them? Purva Bhadrapada moons break from emotional extremity. The deepest wound comes from the extremes in the relationship, intense betrayal, ideological or moral clashes, relationships that become too dark, too destructive, emotional manipulation, identity loss, and sometimes it's also loss of ego. The heartbreak feels catastrophic, like the death of a version of themselves. It sounds like I become someone else for this love, and now I must bury that self. This phase can feel isolating, depressive, even spiritually disorienting. Then comes the healing phase of their love story. Healing for Purva Bhadrapada is reclaiming the selfhood, the self identity. They must learn love does not require self destruction. Intensity is not intimacy. Devotion must include boundaries. Meaning can exist without suffering. They grow through grounding, self reflection, and spiritual maturity as well. Then comes the final chapter in their love story When healed, a Purva Bhadrapada moon becomes profoundly wise in love, deeply loyal without obsession, spiritually aware, emotionally honest, intense but grounded, powerful without the extreme feelings, going into extreme phases of their emotions. Their happy ending arrives with someone who can hold depth without drowning in it. Someone who says we can go deep without losing ourselves. And the Purva Bhadrapada moon finally understands love should transform the soul, not erase it. The love story of Uttara Bhadrapada moon is the love story of depth and silent ocean. Some hearts burn, and Uttara Bhadrapada's heart endures. Their love story is not loud, it's eternal. The very beginning of the love story. And Uttara Bhadrapada moon does not fall in love easily. The story often begins later in life or after significant emotional maturity. They have seen pain, they have survived loss, they do not rush towards attachment. When they meet someone, they observe quietly inside their heart. They ask this question: is this safe enough for my depth? They are drawn to calm, emotionally mature, grounded people. Love for them must feel still, not chaotic. How they love, what is their love language? Uttara Bhadrapada loves unconditionally but silently, not with lot of show of emotions. They show affection through quiet presence, deep loyalty, emotional support, spiritual understanding, holding space without judgment. Their love says, I will stay without needing to prove it. They are not expressive with their words. They feel deeply, internally, and endlessly. Their emotional world is vast but very private. Then comes the middle chapter of their love story when the initial attraction fades. This is where their story carries hidden pain. Because they are so composed, partners often assume they are emotionally distant. Uttara Bhadrapada becomes the emotional anchor, the one who absorbs pain, listens, stabilizes. Inside, however, they feel everything. They rarely ask for reassurance. They expect love to be intuitive, and when it isn't, they retreat further into silence. What breaks them? Uttara Bhadrapada moons break from emotional invisibility. The deepest wounds come from when they become invisible to their partners, partners who don't sense their inner world, lack of emotional curiosity towards them, being valued for stability, not for the soul. Emotionally, there is some kind of neglect happening. Their heartbreak is quiet and ocean deep. I carried so much. Why did no one dive in to meet me? They do not explode, they dissolve inward. And then comes the healing phase in their relationship. Healing for Uttara Bhadrapada comes through gentle expression. They learn depth deserves voice. Silence should be chosen, not forced. Being strong doesn't mean being unseen. They grow when they allow themselves to be emotionally known in life, in relationships. And then the final chapter of their love story. When healed, an Uttara Bhadrapada moon becomes one of the most profound partners. Deeply compassionate, spiritually grounded, emotionally safe, loyal beyond words, steady without suppression. Their happy ending arrives with someone who is patient enough to listen to their silence. Someone who says, I see how deep you are and I want to know you. And the Uttara Bhadrapada moon finally understands love does not need noise, it needs presence. The love story of Revati moon is the love story that came home to compassion. Some hearts learn love through struggle. A Revati heart learns love through giving. The story is the final blessing of the moon, the very beginning of the love story. How does that happen? A Revati moon meets love with openness. The story often begins with empathy. They notice suffering easily. They're drawn to people who need care, guidance, or healing. Inside their heart, they think, I can help you feel safe. Love for Revati begins as compassion before romance. How do they love? What is their love language? Revati loves selflessly. They give emotional support, forgiveness, understanding, patience, unconditional care. Their love says you don't have to be perfect to be loved. They believe love heals wounds. They are gentle, accepting, deeply romantic in a quiet way. The middle chapter, when the initial attraction fades, what happens in the middle chapter of their love story? The middle chapter of the Revati's love story often becomes draining because they give so freely, they attract broken souls. They try to save, heal, and carry others. Over time, love turns into emotional labor. Inside Revati's, deep inside, the Revati wonders, who will take care of me? They rarely ask for this. They assume love will balance itself. What breaks them? Revati moons break from emotional exhaustion. The deepest wounds come from being taken for granted, partners who drain but don't give, emotional dependency, unreciprocated care, lack of reciprocation in actions, losing themselves in others' needs and desires. Their heartbreak feels like quiet emptiness. I poured love endlessly and forgot to keep something for myself as well. They don't resent, they fade. Then what happens in the healing chapter of their love story? Healing for Revati is learning boundaries with compassion. They must understand love does not require self sacrifice. Healing others is not their responsibility. Care must be mutual. Saying no is also love. They grow when they choose partners who protect their softness, someone who takes responsibility for them. Then comes the final chapter in the love story when a healed Revati moon becomes pure grace in love. They become very nurturing but without depleting their own power and strength. They are compassionate but again without destroying themselves and doing those sacrifices. They become emotionally wise, deeply affectionate, and spiritually luminous. Their happy ending arrives with someone who offers care instead of rescue, someone who says, rest now, I have got you. And the Revati finally understands love is not losing yourself in another person, it is meeting someone who helps you come home. These were not just the love stories, they were emotional destinies written by the moon. Every nakshatra loved in its own way, every heart learned something different. And the final lesson of the moon is this: love matures as the soul matures.